Yell at him. Yo, are we live, Jared? Jared, why didn't you say what's up in Brant's stream, man? I was hoping we'd have a good conversation in the stream. That was a good stream. They were talking about I caught the last half of it, but they were talking about kind of like the financial side of BMX. And I don't know who the guy who was talking to was, but they had a lot of oh, good ideas and stuff, and it was a good chat. I wish I was there for it, but
I
Brant hates me.
don't even know who
What's up,
Brant
Jared?
Moore is.
Oh, you don't?
Not really. I
Uh,
might know of him if I like went to his YouTube, but I'm not sure.
yeah, he's really good. But he does a lot of like BMX spec stuff. He has a lot of really good how-to videos, and it surprises me that he has doesn't have that many views on the how-to videos. Um, but like that kind of I love talking about the financial stuff. Like I was all the BMX economy is 3 years behind, and the one guy's like, "Oh yeah, I agree." I'm
Yeah.
like, I feel so smart.
I saw this other video. I saw this video on YouTube. I didn't click on it yet because I just did not have the 20 minutes to watch it.
Yeah.
But it said it was by this guy. He did the same. It was the same video we talked about, like why rollerblading died out so fast. Same guy who made
Mm,
that video, and
okay.
it's why BMX is secretly dying, or quietly dying, or silently dying, or something like that. And I was really interested because I feel like BMX is booming right now.
It's the opposite. I agree. I think it's the
Yeah,
opposite.
so I was like, I need to watch this, but I saw the 20-minute number on there, and I was like, don't have time. Don't have
Um,
time right now.
you could play it in like two times speed, and then it's only 10 minutes.
Yeah, I could do that. That's how I listen to most of my podcasts. I listen to most of them in
And
2x.
so I've been using what is it? Jump cut? What's that thing? I told you I got a month
Uh,
just to play with it. Bolt.
yeah, what was that thing called?
Is it
Bolt.
Bolt?
Yeah,
Bolt. Time Bolt.
two time bolt.
I was scrubbing through my last live, and I put it at like 1.5, and I sound ridiculous. Like if anyone listens to that, because it's like just so fast, and then it's jumping all over the place, and it seems so I don't know. It's awkward. Yeah, I could never do it. Never watch myself in 1.5, I guess. Jared,
Yeah, I
what's the
just feel
gist
like
of the video? Because Jared said he saw the video. What was the gist of it for us who aren't going to watch the 20 minute?
I assume Jared means the video that I was just talking about just now.
About the yeah, why BMX is dying off, right?
Yeah, yeah, I have to watch it because like I I don't agree with the title, so
Yeah, me either.
I probably won't agree with what he's saying in the video.
See, I could see it though, because BMX could go in a weird direction. Like the boom being majority older guys is, I don't know, it's weird. Like you think about the longevity of a young person who gets in at 13, 14, will probably ride till at least 18. But I guess we don't really know the longevity of the the boom with the 30 plus group. Maybe they're going to last
Yeah,
longer too, though. You know, like maybe they're going to be 20-year-old riders because they've already gotten past the girlfriend and the car stage. I don't
yeah, because
know.
to me, I feel like it's the. I generally feel like if you make it past like 21, then
It's a
riding
passion.
bikes is riding bikes is kind of what you do.
Yeah.
Like I see so many kids come in and out of Woodward that just like get pretty good and then drop out, and I'm like, wow, I felt like I rode with them for so long, and then like I think of like someone like Tyler Smith. Like I've rode with Tyler for what I feel like has been so long, and he's only like 21, maybe 22 now,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, I and like Sean's like 18 or 19, and I'm over here at 27. Like I forget how young these kids start coming nowadays. Like I start riding with these kids when they're like 14. So by the time they're doing flip whips and double flips, they're like 17 or 15. Sean did his at 15, and it was like I was already 23 at the time,
That's
or 20,
crazy.
or 24. I don't even know. But yeah, like I think it's like after they graduate high school, they go through this phase of either like need to get a job, need to do some schooling, but whatever the case, need a car now,
Yeah.
and then I think a lot of it just kind of naturally happens that they, uh, they switch their priorities from like going to ride to making money to fix their car or do other stuff or take their girlfriend out to dinner. Like that kind of stuff happens at that age. And so I feel like for me, it was timed well. So when I got out of high school, immediately, like 2 weeks after, I went to Woodward for my first time. And then the day after I got back from Woodward, we moved away. So we moved away from anyone that I knew. And so the first place I went was the bike shop, met people to ride with. So meeting friends was only through riding for the next like 3-4 years. So like I was during that phase of like going to school, most people were getting interested in cars. I was like just starting my big progression. And so now I'm at 27 and I'm like, well, I don't really know anything else. So,
Yeah, I agree. It seems like at 21, even 18, like, so Sean's barely 18, right? Or not quite.
no, Sean's 18. He should be 19 soon.
And he's got enough talent. I think that's kind of the thing. If you're able to hit the certain, like, I don't know, almost a threshold by the time you have to grow up, then you kind of have to give up on it so that you can pay the bills and do everything that you need to do. And like few people are able to get, like Sean's able to make money from shows now and have sponsors and things like that because he made it within that age group. But imagine you start at 17 and then you're 18, you're not good enough to make a lot of money off BMX, so then you just kind of, you're trying to juggle it with working 40 hours a week, and that's tough. And they were talking about in that live was kind of like, well, how could the sport open up more so that more people would have an opportunity to make money on it, like people who aren't necessarily riding at a pro level? Is it possible to
Um,
make a living riding bikes?
I mean, I think that's what the big YouTube boom has been is basically everyone who's not a top contest contender is doing YouTube. And
That's
that's
where I'm
that's
going.
that's why I started YouTube, 4 years ago. It was all about like, hey, I've got to find a way to make this work. But
Exactly.
and that's kind of what photographing weddings was for me. It started out as like, oh, I can do like one wedding every couple months and support the riding.
Yeah.
And then the show gigs that I used to do in the summertime for all wheels, like, yeah, it took my whole summer, but it paid for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's kind of like it's all about priorities. I think so. It's like if you want to keep riding, you'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Like the best example is Jake Leva. Jake Leva has worked 40 hours a week since I've known that dude, and he does like contractor work. He builds decks and cabinets and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like he leaves work and he goes and he puts in work, and he's always
Yeah.
done that. Like so,
And
I
he's a
think it's just
contest rider. And that's
yeah,
crazy
a
that
good
he
one.
has to do that. Like he has to work to support himself and he's not able to make enough, off of the sport. Like that's crazy to me. He's such a talented rider.
Yeah, like he'll probably win or get top three at the Anaheim Triples event at the end of this year or end of this month, and like he's top five feast rider when he goes.
Yeah.
Like he, but I think it's just finding that balance. Like I think for him, he likes to work. I don't
Yeah.
think he would be able to just sit around. Like, and it works for him. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people they go from just being a high school kid, being able to ride whenever they want, to then they get a job, and then all of a sudden they don't know how to balance it anymore. They get scheduled on the days they would usually ride. They like it's just a lot of things.
The
And like I said, it's
prior
just priorities. Like they just need to
exactly.
prioritize it. If they want to do it, you'll make it work. Like I've literally based all of my career ventures off of still being able to ride. Like
Yeah.
I've
No,
always
that's
done that.
that's a great point because it's I think we look at it as a normal timeline of go, you ride really hard, you get really good, you don't have to work and you just ride your bike. And for a handful of people, it works that way. Uh, but it's not as cut and dry as that. Like you think about the guys running like RBMX, even Adam 22, right? They're not very good riders per se compared to the top. riders, but they found a way to make it work. They might have had to work 3 times as hard. I don't know, but yeah, it's not as cut
Yeah,
and dry, and so then they're able to figure it out and make it work because that's something that's so high on the priority list. Hey, Brian,
exactly.
I think Brian was all. Brian, were you hanging out in Brant Moore's stream too? I see you guys. I see you guys. Jared ordered a front brake setup. That's pretty cool. So this is the point I think he was making that video, is that bike and bike parts are hard to find everywhere, so that's why the sport's dying. That's interesting to think about.
I wouldn't. I
Hmm.
mean, I wouldn't say that's why it's dying. I would say that means that everything was sold out and they didn't order enough. I mean, because like the whole pandemic, every mountain bike company was out of stock as well. You know,
Mhm.
for anything, hardtails, full suspensions, no matter the type of bike, road bikes the same, and that was because people were buying them at an alarming rate,
Because
way
the sport
higher
was
than ever
growing.
before. Yeah, because people were all of a sudden like, oh, I'm not working anymore. Maybe I should go pedal a bike around. And like bike shops were busier than they've ever been. Like the shops in Lancaster, like
Uh-huh.
like you were saying, Doug, I think it was like last week or the week before, you went into that shop and like half the shop was full and they were like, oh, those are all repair bikes.
Yeah, they had
Like,
nothing new.
you know, people are not, like, I worked at a bike shop for 7 years. You know, people are not riding when there's no bikes to repair. When your repair is like 2 3 weeks out and you're working
Yeah,
all day every day on repairs and it doesn't stop for months and months and months, people are riding their bikes. Like, new bike sales doesn't mean people are riding their bikes.
repairs mean they're actually.
Repairing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, Jared said that he didn't mean that. I was all wrong. He said it's a sign that it's doing well.
Oh, okay.
All
So
right, Jared, you're
ignore
right. We
that.
agree.
Ignore that tangent then.
But that was a good rant to
Um,
go on either way.
yeah. No,
Hey, what's
yeah, it
up,
was
Jason?
necessary. Yo,
There's a
guys.
lot of good discussion here going on in the comments. This is good. This is good. Um,
Look, Thomas made career ventures out of photography and journalism. Dope. I like photography is my thing. That is my main income.
I
That's my
think those
thing.
are good. You think about, I'm on an AI kick, right? And I think that robots are going to take over the world. I've been listening to Elon Musk too much. But photography, that's a pretty hard one for robots to take over, right? Like that takes
I
some
don't know, dude.
natural
The
skill.
iPhone is pretty impressive, and I would consider that a robot. I mean, you
Well,
got to. Elon Musk says your iPhone is pretty much a connection of yourself. It's just that it takes too long. Like, you know everything when you have your iPhone because you can Google it. It's
yeah.
just the time it takes you to do it with your thumb that makes it slower.
Uh-huh.
Um, Instead of being an actual cyborg, you know. But the new iPhones, like when you take a picture, it takes like 50 pictures at once and like combines it to make like the best exposure. Which is why a lot of people, when they get like a professional DSLR or mirrorless camera, they're like, why do my photos suck so bad? Because you actually have to
Compared
do the
to,
work. Whereas the
yeah.
iPhone literally does all the work for you. There's a reason why you'd never try to film Insta clips with a regular camera because it's just so much easier to get, like, you don't have to do anything. It does everything for you, and it's now they've
Yeah.
got like all the HDR stuff and
HDR
like
video.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
they're they're
well,
robots.
but you can like they can't actually take the picture though. Like your
No.
phone's not walking around like, oh look, this will be a good wedding photo. Like so
And
that's
see,
a
and
special skill.
as a photographer, I don't like shooting photos with an iPhone because it doesn't give me the creative control that I want.
Yeah.
Like, there's this saying, it's like, um, it's think like an artist and see like a camera. I think it's something like that, where it's basically like you have to think about it, like think the image that you want or you're trying to make, but you've
Hmm.
got to see it like a camera. You have to know the camera's limits. Like, there's like, if you real life, if like, we were at the beach and someone's like standing near the water and there's like a sunset, you can see that. The
Hmm.
camera can't. If the camera's looking at the sun, it's all silhouetted everything else. So that's like seeing like a camera. You have to know where the camera is going to see, pretty much like
Yeah.
where it's going to be way too dark, and like that gives you a lot of creative control. Whereas with the iPhone, you lose that. Like the iPhone is trying to go to what your eyes are seeing,
Like mimic
which is
exactly.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is great. You know, that's a thing, but that's not always what you want. Um, and Jared's anti-Apple. I have a iPhone,
The eye
but
turd.
otherwise, I am also on a Dell computer. This is a Dell. This is not a MacBook. Never owned an Apple computer before my whole life. I refuse. I have Apple
Apple's
headphones though.
got me. Apple has me, man. Once you go to Apple, oh,
See, I don't want to do the learning curve, and desktop or PC just makes so much more sense.
they're a lot more like better value. I spent way too much on this stupid computer. Like I could have paid half, for a um, a PC that has the same specs, but
Yeah, well, I was
airdropping to your
just
computer is just rad.
I know that's the one cool thing. But I was actually looking because I was trying to make that argument because that's the
Mhm.
argument I always made was that like for like you know desktops definitely you can build a nice
Yeah,
editing desktop for cheaper than like a Pro or something like that. But the laptops I was always like yeah like a PC laptop is always going to be way cheaper than a MacBook.
Hmm.
And so I pulled out that argument like 2 days ago, day after New Year's. So I looked
Yeah.
it up, and it's about the same now. Like I paid like twenty
Is
seven
it?
hundred for this one, and I think MacBooks the high end one is 3400, but it's got the M1 chip, and I think the other ones have the M1 chip as well. But pretty much I could get the same computer made from Mac. So I think their prices
Right.
have.
Oh,
I think
leveled
MacBooks
out.
have gotten better, and they've remained at their same price point.
That M1 chip is no joke. It's rad.
Yeah, I never tried. Don't need to. I'm a very big uh, promoter of if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix what ain't broken.
Like I am big on that. Like why would I switch to Mac right now when
Yeah.
everything that I do, my PC workflow is streamlined? Like why would I
Yeah.
do it? It's the same with my bike parts. I'm like I'll run the same bike with all the same parts for years, and like 'cause I'm like don't fix what's not broken. Don't change it. Just leave it.
Did oh, hold on. Oh, Jared's talking about that manual machine video. Um, that'll be a good one. And then Sarah works 40 hours a week and can't ride nearly as much, but and that's a good point. See, and if you're not trying to make, I guess, a full-time life out of it, it's a great thing just to kind of relieve stress, on your days off, go out, ride, and have fun. And that's where my view on it, hello, camera, I guess is kind of different than a lot of the BMX generation right now. I think a lot of people are getting into it just for like a fun aspect and not necessarily trying to make a life from it. I don't know. It's
See,
still
and
fun.
I obviously I did a lot of competing and stuff. So for me, for a long time, riding was like train, 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 tricks, tricks,
Yeah,
tricks, go compete, lose, back to the drawing board, that
yeah.
kind of stuff. And but I would realize that riding 5 and 6 days a week was almost counterproductive for me. Like right now, I'm only riding 2 days a week, which is definitely not enough. And sometimes I even go like 2 weeks without it because right now Woodward's schedule is all strange.
Yeah.
But like for me, I think like 3 days a week is the sweet spot because otherwise, anything less, like if I only ride once a week, when I come back next week, the first half of the session is playing catch up. It's like trying to like catch up for that week of not riding.
Yeah.
And then 2 times a week, first session is catch up, second one is more progression, dialing in stuff. But when you have 3 days a week, you don't have that catch up day anymore. So it's more consistently
Mm.
progressive days. But when I was riding like 5 and 6 days a week for short times, I started building funky habits. Like there was certain things that I would think I could do without thinking, and I could for a couple months. And then all of a sudden I'd
Yeah.
start making weird mistakes. I'd build weird habits, or like riding so much that I would get tired and I would start to make little mistakes. And then those mistakes would scare me. And then I would have 5 non productive days of a week of riding. where I just
I
literally like didn't do anything new, didn't do anything that I'm already good at. Like the worst thing ever is when you ride too much to where you actually are afraid of the tricks that you know you can do because you started making stupid mistakes on them. So a lot of times I think a little bit of a reset period
yeah.
like helps
Well,
that out.
one off day in between sessions, I think I agree. That's kind of the sweet spot because if you're like, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just me, but when I ride one day, I'm not, if I'm doing it consistently, I'm not super sore the next day. But the day after that off day, I just feel really good on the bike. Whereas if I take, say, 3 or 4 off days, it's that catch up thing that you're talking about. You're like trying to get the flow back and remember how it feels to be on the bike and da da
Yeah,
da da da.
Sarah just said riding less often makes it a lot harder to keep the connection with the bike,
Yeah, the
which is
connection, that's the perfect word.
yeah, that's exactly, what me and Doug are talking about. It's literally it's like you
The
things
boxing
just
back.
yeah, things just don't feel as like as tight. They just don't feel as like dialed is what I would say. But and some people ride every single day and they're fine with that.
Mhm.
And I think riding every day where like 3 of the days are like progressive and the other 2 are more just like riding around having fun, I think that's totally okay. But trying to do 5 progressive days a week is to me very 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 difficult.
Yeah, I if I do
Logan
ride,
Martin would bear to differ.
yeah, exactly. And I think if it's like the workout thing for me, if you stay constant, like for 3 weeks in a row, hitting it hard, then your body kind of gets used to it. But it's still, you do that thing that you were talking about where the simplest things, like I'll do that, right? 540s. I'll take a couple days off, 540s, easy. But then if I ride for 3 or 4 days in a row, it's just like my brain forgets how to pop off the lip and do it. And it's like, why is that happening? It doesn't make any sense, but it
Like
happens.
if I had like a set of trails at my house,
Yeah.
I would ride every day. But multiple of those days would be like maybe like a 360 or a flip. Like it would just be cruise days, like a 15-20 minute session just
Yeah.
to ride the bike for the day. And so like I always think, riding your bike just around like the neighborhood, riding on flat ground, just like being on your bike every day is great. But trying, high level progressive stuff
Yeah.
every day, it's to me it's the exhaustion. And maybe doing actual fitness training would help. But like when you think of the supercross guys, like the motocross guys, they only ride like 1 or 2 days in between races. They don't
Uh-huh.
ride every day because
It's
that
like
would be
one day to stay
it's almost
constant.
like counterproductive. Like if we like Jason is doing the manual challenge in the
Hmm.
group, and I noticed, I don't know, maybe Jason has a different reason for pausing on it. But my reason that the 7 day manual challenge turned into like a 14-day manual challenge is after so many days in a row, each day started to get counterproductive because my legs were so beat that I was, starting to initiate wrong and it was like working backwards. And then
Yeah.
that's really frustrating. You were like gaining progress for these first couple days and then you started going backwards. And I think that's how trying to be progressive too many days in a row is. It's like you just lose it.
Well, and it's like the backwards progression starts happening physically, and you're like, oh, this just doesn't feel right or whatever because you're not up to par with it. But then you get down on yourself, you get mad at yourself, and so then you're just sabotaging yourself mentally, which is way worse than the physical part of it. And
Yeah.
what's up, Jamal? Sergio? Oh my God, look at all these people in here. Did you see my comment? That'll teach them.
And that's like my hardest part is like the everyday mental battle. Like if you just did 4 days in a row of hardcore tricks and crashes, that fifth day you're just like you don't even want to do the stuff you know how to do because you're just like I'll get like that sometimes where I'm literally like I don't even want to go 360 this spine and I'll do 720s on spine some days like but there's
Yeah.
some days where like mentally it's just like you just get weird things in your head. And to me it's really weird if I'm ever like forced to take like a month off the bike for some reason, like I'm traveling or I got other things going on, I feel so much better when I get back on the bike. Probably because it's like all this built up anticipation, like, oh, I need to ride my bike.
Mm,
And then I feel so dialed because it's like a huge reset. All those little mental blocks that I developed during certain sessions have like gone away. Like, because I'll stop doing certain tricks for a very long time
yeah.
because things go wrong. You hit the ground hard enough, and you're like, I'm done with that, over
I
it.
feel like you're on your own there. Anything
Oh,
more than a
probably
week,
for
and I
sure.
like forget how to ride, and I'm like, it's the worst session ever if I'm gone for more than
No,
a
and
week.
I would never encourage anyone to take
Yeah,
months off just with my lifestyle. And it's not okay.
life
That's wrong.
happens.
What I was mostly speaking like from this summer. But so when I think about it, I took off a month of riding my hardtail. I rode my downhill bike almost every single day.
Okay.
So I was riding a bike every day, and I was doing jumps and flips and stuff on the downhill bike. So maybe because I was riding that, that could be why I felt better because the hardtail is so much lighter, snappier. That
Yeah.
could be why I felt better. It's not like I just like sat on the couch for 2 months. I was just
Well,
traveling around riding downhill bikes.
it's mixing it up too. Like right now, I'd have a lot of fun switching the bike for the snowboard for a month or something. It's just
Yeah,
like you're just kind of changing it up a little bit, and you always get real hyped on it.
we got so many comments. So many
I know
comments. We
this
got
is
to catch up.
good. What's going on right now?
Thomas is BMX definitely is an art. It definitely is, and um, I I'm a very technical thinker. I approach photography in a very technical and problem solving way. I wouldn't say that I'm very like creative. I wouldn't even call myself an artist really. Um, but I think through problem solving comes a lot of creative things. So when it comes to BMX and mountain bikes, though, I'm very, very technical, which I think is why bike school is something that I always wanted to do, and why I think Doug and I are good at explaining things, is because we think about it very technically. At least I do.
Yeah,
It's just how my brain
you're
works. Like I'm very technical about things.
you're really good at breaking things down. You're really good at that.
I just like I feel like I think like I'm stoned all the time. Like, and I think anyone who watches the exclusive videos in the bike school like course, there's probably times where they're like, dude, who thinks of that? Like,
Yeah.
because a lot of people do, but don't understand. A lot of people are very good at riding bikes, but don't understand how any of it works.
Well, that's the hard, like I told you, I watched Matt Ray's How to Tail Whip. And I'm like, I feel like this is terrible, and the guy's a crazy good rider, but being able to take it in an analytical way and like break it down in a way that makes sense is a lot harder than you'd expect. Like we wrote out perfect scripts, and then we looked at it afterwards, and a couple of them were like, "Hey, this needs more," and
Yeah,
had to make a bunch of changes. And so even with months of planning and thought, like it is so hard. It's very hard. Hopefully, you guys get appreciate it because it was tough to break it down like that.
yeah, yeah, and
No.
like going on to the photography course that I'm starting to write, it's like
Hmm.
almost I can't tell which one was harder. I think because photography is a technical thing, teaching it technically is not difficult,
Yeah.
but like I'm like, how deep do we go with this? Like,
Right.
because
Yeah.
I'm
How much
into
is too
like,
much?
yeah, because I'm into the science of things. Like, I'm into like why the programs work the way they do and why the camera works the way it does, and a lot of it's unnecessary, but it helped me get to where I was. So I feel like
Yeah.
I shouldn't hold back anything that helped me understand, because that's the thing. It's like a lot of people say, "How do I do something?" It's not about how. It's why.
Yeah.
Why does it work?
Right.
Why does what you're doing allow for what you're trying to get to, like for that end result? So it's not just because I could tell you like so you're like how do you get that picture? I can tell you how,
Yeah.
but if you don't understand it, you'd never recreate it in a different setting
It's like to
because you
give
don't
a man a
understand
fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can go pretty deep, and that's kind of what my whole goal with bike school was like make people understand, so that way when after being in bike school for so long, you can you're able to now push yourself without us, because you understand how to notice your own mistakes and start to understand what you're doing. And like, because that's how I've gotten to where I am in riding, is literally watching videos of myself, comparing them, and years and years and years of this, like, because you've got to be your own coach to an extent once you get to a certain level, because there's some stuff that like everyone's going to tell you a different way, and you need to really understand what's going on.
What's up, Sean? Um, I wanted to pull up Sergio's. I was slacking. I missed all the bots, but I was so captivated by what you're saying. Um, was it Sergio's comment? Yeah, Sergio's comment was really good about working out in spare days. And you started going to the gym. Are you still doing that, or how has that been? What's that look like?
Me?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm going tomorrow.
nice.
um, I haven't been since before Christmas. Like, so it's been like 2 weeks, just because holidays and stuff. Been out of town twice, so I've only been home for like 4 days in the last like 2 weeks. And then I drove home today, and I just know that it's just going to be such a shit show at the
At the
gym
gym,
tomorrow. Oh yeah, dude.
everyone's on their knees.
Every
I went
year.
today, and it was like, come on,
Oh,
guys,
I know. Like, so
three
I'm
more
gonna try to
months.
get there like 7:30, because I think like 8 is usually when like most people like are going to work. I've actually figured out like 9 and 10. It sucks because I don't like to go to the gym at 9 and 10 a.m. because it's too late. By the time
Yeah,
I get, because I don't want to do anything with my day before the gym. So then by the time I get home from the gym, it's 11:30, and then I'm like, well, the day's like half over.
right. It's already
So
lunchtime.
we're gonna try tomorrow morning. But I think I think it's still too soon to really notice if there's anything,
Right.
um, because I had that manual slam, after like a solid 2 weeks of the gym,
Yeah.
and I landed right on my hip, and it just locked up my legs. And it's like, to me, that's the most noticeable when I'm riding, is if my hips don't feel good, nothing feels good.
Yeah.
So I don't notice any of the other benefits yet until the legs feel good. When the legs feel good, I feel good. The legs don't feel good, I don't feel good.
Yeah, Sergio, I'm weird about it because like Nick never had a really hard gym focus with his riding, and he's a crazy good rider. And but things that I've seen, like friends of mine, and even same for me when I started going to the gym, like senior year of high school, my progression kind of went parallel with that. Like it seemed like the better shape I got, the better I was at controlling my bike, and like injuries happened less. And and that was just my experience. And I've had a couple friends that like start going psycho in the gym, and then all of a sudden like this kid Kevin's got 720s just out of nowhere, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And so I don't know, maybe it's an age thing, like we hit that age where puberty and everything starts happening, and it's not necessarily gym related, and the gym just happens to be on the same like timeline. But I don't know, I feel like it does have an effect because your bike's 20 some pounds, and if you're able to move around 20 pounds easier, then doing tricks and riding is going to be easier. But it's hard to not overdo it, and that's the thing. I'm really curious to see who Tyler's going to be coaching. It wasn't Jared. I wonder, maybe it's Bobby,
Oh yeah, we'll have to ask
because
him.
it'd be cool to see if their progression kind of picks up when they start getting into that strength and conditioning. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? That'd be really cool.
yeah. I would like to think that if I went to the gym the entire time that I was like, competing and stuff,
Mhm.
that I wouldn't have developed the problems that I did, you know, with the
Yeah.
hips and stuff. Like, I wonder if I wouldn't have developed those problems. I try to just tell myself it would have happened regardless, just so I don't feel like I missed an opportunity there.
Right.
Um, but one thing that I noticed is that I work legs, because, okay, so everybody, I'm saying I work legs. I know for most people, like, leg day at the gym is like hell. You don't do well the next day,
I
but
skip leg day.
my legs don't work, so I have to do legs like a lot. But I do very light because I'll really hurt myself. I can't do a squat, like my legs don't bend that way. Um, but when I do legs at the gym, the morning and then session in the evening,
Yeah.
I feel way better. So
because
I
you've
do
like
light.
loosened everything up.
Yeah, so I do light. Like I do 2 light leg days in a week, and that's Tuesday and Thursday before I ride. That's what I've been doing right now, and it helps
Uh-huh.
me for the session. And then I'll work out the other 2 days, and then take like usually like Saturday, Sunday off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured out that like if I go do like easy leg exercises, nothing that's gonna exhaust me or anything like that. Just like stuff that like gets the muscles going, and like yeah, like the third set of something, like you'll feel it, but nothing to exhaust myself. And then yeah, the next day I'm a little sore, but that's probably because I also rode. But it
Right.
helps me for the session.
Uh,
So that's
Mike
kind of my thing.
Mike Payne, what really got me on it is Mike Payne was living here in El Paso and he was talking about how he crashed or something and slipped a disc in his back. So he slipped a disc and normally you need surgery, all this stuff. And he's like, I just started working out my core. And I was like, that's weird. It's in your back, right? It's like, why didn't you start working out your back? But anyways, like I just started working out my core because essentially your cores controls so much. And so he said by doing that, he didn't need surgery. Everything was good in about 8 months of just hardcore working out. Then I was like, maybe there's more to it, like injury prevention and stuff like that. Um, Jamal has a good point though. He says that eating right and taking care of your body might be more beneficial than the gym.
See, and that's
Ooh, that's a
something that
good
I
point.
definitely notice. If I if I get super busy on the computer and super like hyper focused,
Yeah.
I'll skip a meal during the day, and then if I try to ride later that day, I'm screwed. And I think a lot of people overlook water. Like
Well, oh, for sure.
it's something like it only takes you to be like 5% or 10% dehydrated to lose like 25% of your ability or something like I don't quote me on that. Like it's something
Yeah.
that I heard, um, which I can totally see it. Like if I focus like during the day and during the week, like to drink water and actually like eat
Right.
the meals, like I definitely feel a lot better. But it's very easy for me to not do that. And then yeah,
Um, Everyone, right now, stop what you're doing. Take a drink of water. Just your reminder to drink some water. So
we're both drinking out of plastic bottles. We're gonna get ruined for that.
This is this is my refill. This isn't Fiji. I bought it one time and then I just refill it so it looks like I'm fancy,
Well,
but
I
I'm
live in
not.
Los Angeles County. We have terrible water,
Oh
so
God.
um, yeah.
Yeah, you can't drink it. Uh, you see, it's Tyler or it's Jason. Jason is the one.
Nice.
So that'll be cool, Jason. I'm stoked to see your progression with it. Hey, the half cabs look good too. You're getting there.
He said his break for the or the block was more mental. Then I got busy with holiday season,
Oh,
cold and rainy. Now it snowed. Ooh, I'm not a fan of the snow.
snowboarding.
Yeah, the snow is for snowboarding in the mountains. It's not for anywhere else.
I really want a snow bike though. That would be just a dream.
It's called
Because
Snow Go.
Reed's hooked up with them, right?
Yeah, Snow Go. I know. Hopefully, I can get out there with them this winter.
Dude,
Film a
hey,
video.
yeah, take me with you. Jake says his parents nag him a lot about going to the gym, but all he wants to do is ride. His shoulders are weak, and that's why he needs surgery. It's dislocated 4 times. So that might be like a Nick thing that the gym could have prevented the shoulder issue. Maybe it can get better though.
Well,
I don't know.
the thing about shoulder. So Reed has bad shoulder.
Uh-huh.
He's had surgery on it twice now. Um, and shoulders is kind of one of those things that like I feel like in my experience, I've separated a shoulder before, not dislocated though. I
Uh-huh.
separated this one. But one thing, like from my observation, I feel like you either have shoulder problems or you don't. Like I feel like some people, once they like have a certain shoulder injury, it seems like they're constantly. It's kind of like people with knee problems. Like someone who has a big knee injury, like an ACL or a meniscus or something, seems to repeatedly have knee injuries after that.
Yeah.
Or someone who has a decently serious ankle injury, or even like even sprains. I feel like some people are like always battling an ankle sprain or a wrist problem. Like there's always something like that. And to me, the shoulder is the same. Like once you hurt it that certain way or it comes out once, it's then going to come out real easy. And so I I don't know. You have to. I don't know like where you'd actually find out like what professional you would talk to be like, hey, if my shoulders were stronger, would this have never happened in the first place? I don't
Yeah.
think they would. I don't think they'd be able to tell you.
Mm-mm.
It's kind of like me
You'll
being
never
like,
know.
no, you'll. I don't think you'll ever know because I think you could be strong and still land on it wrong. Um, but if Jake's is just falling out for no reason, then that's different. But if you hit the ground
True.
to pop it out, once it came out that first time, you're in for it because it's like loose or something. I don't know.
I have I I would sleep on this side, so I'd always sleep like this, and then I just started having issues with it, and it's still like today I was doing um, presses with dumbbells, and my I could have got it just fine, like with my right, it was just fine, but this one, my shoulder wasn't. It's all messed up. Now I've never dislocated anything. That's gnarly. Have you ever seen someone pop a shoulder back in? Uh,
Oh yeah, oh,
uh.
yeah. I've seen it quite a few times. Um, what's crazy though is actually, Doug, you mentioned sleeping. Sleeping messes a lot of people up.
Because they sleep funky.
People sleep. I do. I sleep so funky. Half the time, that's why I think my legs are all messed up because I sleep like 30% on my stomach, like this, and then with like one instead of my legs being like this, one leg is like way out here, like sprawled out, um, and I can't do it on the other leg. Like I have to. I'm like a one side sleeper
Yeah.
only, and I cannot sleep on my back. Apparently, sleeping on your back is like good for you or something, but I cannot do it. Like
I
I
started.
cannot fall asleep on my back.
I'll move my pillows to the side and sleep in between them on my back like this, and my shoulders quit hurting when I started doing that. But it's so hard to fall asleep. Like it's not fun. You're just laying there.
I used to when I had a I battled a nagging wrist for a long time, and it was for a few months, so maybe not like a long time, but for a few months, and like I don't remember ever crashing on it. I was like, maybe it's because I'm like been on the computer so much. It's like some tendonitis, and I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and it was really hurting, and my arm was hanging off the bed like this, and so like it was always like this off
Yeah.
the bed, or it was like something like this. So I started from that point on tucking my hand underneath the pillow when I slept. Never had a problem again. After like 2 weeks, the problem went away. Never felt it again. So
Oh, it was the sleep
it was
doing
totally
that.
from sleeping in some weird arm position that was like nagging the crap out of my wrist.
What?
Yeah.
Um, Jason, which bike did you go? Which BMX did you get? So Jason's gonna be a BMX and a dirt jumper guy. That's so cool. We got so many
Let's see.
comments, we don't know which one to pick.
I know. Thomas, I know. Thomas says, I'm drinking beer now. It's hydrating, I swear. Yeah, I'm about to grab one out of the fridge in a little bit here. Um, let's see. Water's key. Someone, I think it was Thomas, someone said something about wrists and lifting. Um, bench presses, man. Good for your wrists and push ups. Like, if you can't do a push up without your wrists hurting, uh, I think riding bikes is going to be really hard on them. Unless
Yeah.
you get a down, like, um, get a bike with front suspension. That probably definitely saves my wrists for sure. Having that front suspension. Like when I ride my BMX bike, I'm always like, dude, the front doesn't move.
I,
Everything's so harsh.
See, but you have it pretty stiff, and so you'd think it wouldn't make that much of a difference. But when I was riding it, it does give like right when you want it to.
Oh, if you watch a video, like when I take off the ramp, when I'm at the top, that thing is like,
Uh,
yeah,
it compresses.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm bigger than you, so it'll compress a lot more when I'm on it.
It compress. No, I mean my videos.
Oh yeah,
Compress.
yeah.
Like you watch any lip takeoff, it compresses on a steep lip like all the way, and when I
Uh,
land, it compresses. Um, but no, it's definitely stiff. But you got to think of the force that you like the G in a
yeah.
takeoff. there's a lot there rather than just when you stand on the ground, it's going to feel really stiff.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
and then like if it were to be like not that stiff, you'd ride it and you'd go bing because it would like it would bottom out and go
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like if your car didn't have any springs.
Oh my god, there's so many comments. You guys are on it right now. This is I can't tell if they're talking to us or talking to each other.
I think
And
a little of both.
every time someone posts a new one, it moves
It moved,
my
yeah.
scrolling thing.
Could you imagine? I hopped on a live stream like Dax, he's this rapper. Anyway, I had 1,300 people in there, and the comments were just, and like, these are good.
There's
Like, this is a
just no
nice.
way.
You can read most of them. You can enter. But if there's too many people, it would be not as fun. You'd have to select them, and by the time you get to the comment, everyone's talking about something else.
There's 245 comments.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Can we get 500 comments by the end of the
No,
live?
don't say that. We're gonna get a bunch of
Oh yeah,
H
they have to be
H
coherent sentences, full sentences.
and about
Uh,
something.
and about something, not about winky face emojis.
Yeah.
The bots are helping with the comments. Um, I saw, oh, Jamal does 30 push-ups each night and he wants to get up in the 50s. That's crazy. 30 is a hard one to bang out. Like that's very impressive. 50 will be
Dude, we
even
did
crazier.
we were doing in 2016 in All Wheels
Uh-huh.
with Rob Darden. So Rob is super fitness guy, you know. Rob loves to lift, you know, fucking 600 pounds and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he had me and Seb, you know, doing the push-ups, doing the sandbag stuff. And so we were doing 50 push-ups um, each day throughout the three shows, and then we bumped it up. I want to say we bumped it up to 100 like midway through, but whether it was 100 or
Push-ups?
whether it was 100 or whether it was 50, we would do. I think it was I think it was 100 because we were doing 25 before the first show, 25 before the second show, 25 before the third show, and 25 after. And so, but we bumped it up to doing 50 before the first show and then 50 before the second show. Dude, I dropped into the ramp after doing 100 push-ups, thought I was going to die, could
Your
not feel the
triceps just give
handlebars.
out.
Yeah. Like it was the scariest show of my life doing flips and stuff like that. Dude, I thought I was going to die. We were all laughing at each other in the middle of the show on the two sides of the quarter pipes, just like,
Because
bro, so
you all know
dead.
what's going
Yeah.
on. At camp last year, I can't remember what we called it, but it was like push-ups, and you had to do 30 in a row to get into the club, and then anyone who was in the group, you could just hit them with a number, and they had to do that many push-ups. And so, like, we're at the canteen or whatever, we're eating lunch, and then it's like 20, and you're like, come on. And so you do a bunch, but that was good. It's like that. What if you decided every time you go to the bathroom, you're going to do 10 push-ups? You know how many push-ups you could do in a day? Just like having a set thing like that. I don't know. You probably don't want to do push-ups on the bathroom floor, but
Depends how often you clean it.
true,
Let's
true.
see. Um, let's see. Yeah, Jake says he tore his labrum in his shoulder, but he also has genetically loose shoulders, and he can just pop it in and out. He said he was doing a manual, and it just pulled right out. That's not good. But also, yeah, a labrum tear, uh, you tear something like that, it's toast. Both the labrums in my hips completely calcified, so I have cadaver labrums in both of my legs.
Ugh,
That's a pretty cool story.
that's
They didn't tear;
crazy.
they just turned to bone. So
Jake, heal up fast. That sucks.
yeah, take the rehab seriously.
Yeah.
When you get surgery on it, take it seriously. Like I've watched people have to go pretty much straight back into that same surgery, and it's not good. And then Thomas saying he's gonna try to get his wrists fixed because he got kind of like tendonitis. I think like tendonitis and carpal tunnel, they get a lot of people. You know, I don't really know what the
Bike
difference is
riding,
between those.
especially because you're gripping the. Mine does that. So I don't know what either one is, but I just know if I squeeze my grips too hard and land a little funny, then
So
it just hurts.
you gotta ride light-handed. Like
What's that?
I can make my grips last like 3 years. I don't death grip. Like I'm very like I only hold on with like kind of like these three fingers. These
Yeah.
ones kind of just all float. These two. I never
Yeah,
know where
that's
the
one of my
freaking camera
problems.
is.
I'm gonna fix that in 2022.
I'm
Hold
gonna do
it lightly.
squats.
Because if you're like, that's a good point. The majority of your riding, like your bike is going, you don't need to be crazy with it. Because if you're riding the transition right, then it's just gonna float along and be fine.
I mean, there's
And
definitely stuff where you got to be
like a
aggressive.
tail
You
whip,
know,
hold the
like
grips real good.
I'll get like a really gnarly callus blister right here when I'm doing lots of like three down whips and flip whips and stuff like that because I'm that brake lever is my leverage. You know, especially in a three down whip. If I don't have that brake lever, I get like upside down. So like I'm using that finger to like hold myself, and it
Yeah,
starts to like rub right there. Like flip Superman's real bad. It'll like blister up so bad right there.
I can't
That's
relate.
that's my death. That's my death grip times.
When you're doing
Cadaver
like a flip
bones.
Superman or something.
Um, no, I have cadaver labrums, not bones. My labrums turned into bone. They calcified, so they grinded them out and put new labrums in. Yeah, they told me they were going to give me artificial ones, and then I woke up to them giving me a letter from somebody's family, and I was like, "This is awful. It's so sad."
So there's a conspiracy that if you say that you want to be a donor on your driver's license, they don't try as hard to save you. What do you think
That's
about that?
messed.
Do you think
I
that's true?
I would like to think that's not true,
But it could
but
be.
it could be. But I feel like that's like a whole conspiracy on its own.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
because
there's no
I'm
way to
like,
know.
I'm like, oh yeah,
Like,
I'll be a donor. That's cool. And then I read somewhere it's like, oh well, if you get in a crash and they take you to the hospital, they're not as likely to save you because you have all these organs and stuff that you could, help a one
but
person could save a five, and so it's like, well, math there. It's like better to
but
save
at
the
the same
five,
time,
I
like
guess.
they have to like keep you alive to be a donor. You know, because the organs
True.
still have to be working. So I feel like they're gonna know if they have a chance they're gonna save you, but like I think I wouldn't, my thought process would be they're not gonna not try hard. They're going to press whoever is in charge. Like if they're like it's like 90% chance they're not coming out of this coma, you know,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
gonna like I think they're gonna be like, hey, you know, right now we could do all the donations and stuff, everything, like these things are working properly. But I don't think they would just be like, oh, this guy could wake up tomorrow, screw it, let's
Yeah.
give his kidney away. Like I don't see that being the case.
Right.
At least I would hope not, because that's
Well,
sketchy.
if they get your organs pretty soon after you die, I think they're still good for, a certain amount of time.
I have
I
no
don't know. That
idea,
is sketchy. Thomas
honestly.
says that China is rumored to organ harvest.
China China's scary.
I really want to go.
uh there was a mountain bike contest in China a couple years in a row, and I never went, and I'm kind of bummed that
Yeah.
I never went. I
It's
can't
so
say like
far.
I've ever like really wanted to go to China, but like now that I've missed the opportunity a few times now, and they don't do
Yeah.
those events anymore, like I'm kind of like, oh, that would have been really cool. Would have been cool to go to, because all my friends went. They survived.
They
they
didn't
ca-
get
they
their
all
organs harvested.
they all came back.
It's just
Because
such a
feast,
long, expensive flight.
no, it was pretty cheap. It was only like $500 to fly for Feast China
Oh my
in
God, it's 3 grand right now.
October. Oh, dude, everything's expensive right now. Like, I can't wait till I can go back to New Zealand. Like, oh, I want to go back to New Zealand so bad, but I
Would
can't. I can't go there and quarantine for 2 weeks. Like, that's too
would you
long.
live over there? Or like Australia? Would you live
Absolutely,
over
I
there?
would.
Yeah, it's
Not
nice.
not Oz, but yeah, I would live in New
New
Zealand for
Zealand.
sure. I would love to live like if I could avoid winter all year
Right.
and live in like Utah or Southern California, like like springy summer, and then go live in New Zealand for the winter, would love it. Like New Zealand's amazing. Queenstown is the greatest place. I would ride this place called Dream Track every day.
Uh, hey, did
It's the
those
greatest
dirt
thing.
jumps ever get torn down?
No,
They
they
kept
all
them.
they're supposed to tear them down, and then a bunch of people sent in stuff, and the mayor got on Instagram, filmed himself talking. He was like, "We didn't know this was such a worldwide thing, and we didn't know people literally traveled from around the world to come here. So
Well,
we're gonna keep
yeah,
them." Yeah,
good job.
I thought
That's
that
the
was really cool,
thing.
though. Like he did
Nobody.
it personally too. Like I thought that was so cool. That would never happen in California.
No, well, and seeing that the
And like
California thing,
wetlands just got toasted.
they've torn down two good popular sets of trails, and it's like people literally, even skate
Oh,
parks,
that's just this year.
travel. You travel to a different state just to ride stuff. Like we go to Phoenix, right, just to film or wherever, and it's only because of the skate park. It's not because of whatever they invest their and so we're there. We're spending money on their taxes, like buying gas. It's such an overlooked thing. It's an attraction that I don't know that those jumps in New Zealand aren't city maintained, are they?
Um,
Or
it's
are
all
they?
volunteer maintained, but it's a public bike park. Anyone can go. It's
See, like
public.
the
It's not
trails in
private trail spot.
California. Oh, okay. Those the
See,
city doesn't have to do anything for that. They're
no,
there
it's
and they're
all
letting
it's just
people in.
landowners and other people who complain.
Yeah.
Thomas says, "I grew up in SoCal, hated the sun after a few hundred days." Well, Thomas, luckily, it rains a lot in New Zealand. When I was there for 2 weeks, it rained almost every day. We don't get rain in SoCal, but New Zealand gets a lot of weather.
Um, did you see Thomas say he's got a 50-acre farm in Pennsylvania? We need to go out there. I saw you saying you're going to be out there this summer,
Yeah, because
right?
I didn't realize uh, I didn't realize Jason was in uh, Richmond, and Taylor's whole family is from
You were
Fredericksburg. So
there a
it's
little
like,
bit. Yeah.
yeah, it's like 40 minutes from Richmond, and I where I met Taylor, I was living in Glen Allen, so which is in between Richmond and
Right.
Fredericksburg. So I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with that whole area.
Let me know because I want to go out there too. It'd be so fun. We have so many members over there. Like it'd be rad to just go ride with them and stuff. If we could plan that into a trip,
Yeah, we'll try to
that'd be
find it when
so
it's not a
fun.
heat index of 115.
Okay.
But
Yes.
we gotta me and Taylor this week we're gonna try to kind of plan our summer traveling. I know Taylor wants to go to Montana, and then I'll probably do
Ugh.
some coach. I'll probably do some coaching in Highland at Highland again,
Yeah.
and then lots of downhill bikes.
Does she want to go to Glacier?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's never
Um,
been. I never been.
it's like I lived on the east side and it's all flat. It's not pretty, but then you get over there where Glacier is, it's just beautiful. Um,
Oh, Jason
I'm,
says he's in Northern Virginia, so he's the opposite direction of Richmond.
Virginia can't be that big of a state, is it?
Virginia's a pretty big
Is it?
state. And like most of Virginia that anyone knows of is like kind of closer to the coast. And then like there's like this whole other like 80% of Virginia that's just nothing. I've driven through it multiple times. The whole thing.
um, I'm gonna move to England. I've got to find a wife over there so that I can get citizenship and get free healthcare. Because I'm at that age, I got to get my own healthcare, and I'm like, I think it'd be easier to find a wife in the UK.
Dude, a 50-acre farm in Pennsylvania. I would go to town building some mountain bike jumps out there.
Just need a
Big old
bobcat.
big old slope course. Just like huge progression. Um, Wheel mill. I've never been to the wheel mill. Jake's gonna be 18. I want to be a
Jake,
camper at Woodward. I
you
don't want
can
to
still
work.
be a
Well,
camper at West. You can be an adult
uh,
camper.
but you don't. It's not really the same.
True, yeah, you
But
stay with all the
why?
adults. I think
Why
it's
would you
better.
not? Why would you not want to work? Why would? Because then you still have to pay. You should just work and then just ride when you're not at work.
Jake
Maybe he
has a
wasn't here for
Tesla,
the. Maybe he wasn't here when we were talking about working and making it work. Still,
right? Yeah, the
I think he
struggle, the
showed up
fun
late.
struggle of BMX.
Oh
Um,
man, to be 17 again, dude! I just realized my 10-year reunion is coming up in like 5 months.
wow.
Crazy.
That's sad. I mean,
I
not
probably
sad
won't
that
even
you're
go.
10 years. It's not sad that you're that old. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying mine's at 7 years right now, and that's crazy. Like, I'm sad. I'll be 30 one day. Oh,
Ugh.
um, yeah, Thomas, we'll come build some dirt jumps. That'd be fun. What do you think? Do you think it's better in California or on the East Coast?
Me?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, East Coast for sure.
yeah. You
Yeah,
know, it's so
having
humid.
having having rain like to build stuff with,
True.
having trees to build stuff within. California and like the West Coast is like anti build anything anywhere, don't do anything you want to do,
Yeah.
and you can't get land, and your money goes a lot further on the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I could actually live there though, just because growing up on the West Coast and wanting to be close to like Utah and stuff, but the more time I spend on the East Coast, the more I'm like, I like it. Like I like the East Coast. Um, I don't like the Midwest. I don't really care for the
Yeah.
Midwest.
That seems cold. I think I've only
Jake
been
says
over there one
Cali's the
time.
best.
I want a house in San Diego and then maybe Florida. Florida seems nice.
I would really prefer to do to live in like New Zealand or like Europe. It would be really cool to live in Europe because they got spots everywhere. But this is again the priorities thing. Like can't move to Europe to ride. I'm past that. I think unless all
Why?
the if unless it would have to come down to like if somehow I can turn around this hip stuff and like be different, then I think there's still a chance. But otherwise, it's like I got to be able to walk when I'm when I'm 30.
Yeah, but think about this. You go over there as a wedding photographer, and then you they can hire an exotic American wedding photographer, like not exotic in that sense of the word, but like from a different country, and you
Yeah.
could take that could
Oh,
be
you're
a pretty cool.
American?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you're from California?
That's the only
Wow.
state they know in America.
Yeah. Yeah, when I
America is
that was
California.
always funny, we'd be doing these contests and then we'd be at like we'd be at that bar afterwards and like you talk to people, they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" And you're like, "I'm from America." Really? Yeah. Where? California. Really? Yeah. Where in California? Los Angeles. Because they know it, and like so other people they're like, "Oh yeah, I live here in America," and they're like, "Where's that?"
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like Nikolai's in Boston, I'm in LA. It's just pretty much as far as you can get across the dang country, and they're like, "Oh, so you guys hang out all the time? You ride together?" No, it's really far. Just they think because they forget that America's like
Huge.
huge.
Yeah.
Like California is like the size of most of Western Europe. Like
Yeah. You could drive from South England to North Scotland in like 8 or 10 hours or something. And that's a drive from here to California, from here to LA. And that's only half the country.
see, Jake says 3 days till my surgery, and I start to wonder if the 6 month recovery is really worth it. Well, let's put it this way: if you don't take the 6 month recovery, then it was all for nothing. Like the surgery was for nothing. So if you get the surgery, take the 6 month recovery and take it seriously because it will be worth it. But if you choose not to do the surgery, then I guess you don't have to do 6 months of recovery, but you're going to continue having the same problems. You know who did that surgery? Dennis Anderson, and it worked for him.
Rumor has it Dennis Anderson couldn't tail whip until he got the surgery. And then, just kidding. I don't think that's true. I don't know when he
I
got
think
it,
that's
but
a lie.
was
he
it
got
pretty
it like
recent?
he got it like a year ago.
And then all of a sudden he learned all these tricks.
and went back
Um,
in time.
See, that would be hard to do is like you're already kind of at the top of your game and then to take yourself out for that, I think
Six
it would
six months.
that's a long
Six
time.
months seems long. Like I don't feel like reads were ever that long. I feel like they were like 3 3 months.
Hmm.
Um, could be 6 though. I guess depends on what exactly they have to do. Um, Jake says I'm into doing stocks. What does that mean?
Stonks.
Stocks? What is stocks?
Stocks?
Like
The
stocks,
stock?
like like
Stock
like trading
market?
stocks?
I think
Oh,
so.
like the market.
You know that meme with the
Stocks.
stonks? Stonks? Have you seen
No.
that? I gotta show you.
Ooh, wouldn't it be great to just be able to live off of the stock market? Oh, I've tried. It's very hard.
You tried
I did forex for a while. Yeah,
Forex.
yeah.
Um, can you see this? Oh, wait, wait. Have you seen this meme?
Stocks. No, I've never seen that.
that, that's Jake. Um, I don't know, man. Some people are able to do it, like make a living off it. I think you just need a good amount of money to start because like 5% on 1 million is a decent amount of money, but 5% on $100, not so
It's
much.
nothing.
Yeah,
No, and I think that's the thing is a lot of people. I think they want to see really fast results, which leads to pretty much gambling. And like you may as well just go try to you may as well just go try to put money on blackjack. It's pretty much the same thing. It's gonna go up or down. Like
right.
I did forex for like a year, um, and at the end of the year, I was pretty much where I started. So basically, tells you that you win and then you lose and then you win and then you lose.
Yeah.
It can only go up or down. Just remember, it's always easier to enter the wrong trade. Like it's not flipping a coin. It's always easier to be wrong than it is to be right. Even though
Wow.
it only goes up and down. You think your chance is like 50-50, but once you put into all the mental stuff and you start doing things, it's always
Right.
easier to be wrong.
You're like,
And
oh, I'm not gonna pull out because it's gonna go up, and then it just keeps
no,
going. And you're like,
yeah, and I think you do that, and then like it's easier to be wrong. You got to remember that, and you also have to remember that like you can't have emotion. Like you can be not emotionally connected to it whatsoever because that's what most people do. They they'll set like their stop loss. Say they're selling it, think it's going to go down. They'll set their stop loss, and then boom, it breaks through their stop loss, and they're like, that's and usually most people enter the wrong trade because they don't set their stop loss high enough or low enough, depending on which way you're going, and so a lot of times it'll creep right up, and then it'll end up doing what you thought it was going to do, but it already pulled you out of the trade in the middle of the night because it just bumped up through your stop loss, and so um, the what people will do is as soon as it bumps up when they're trying to sell, they're like, "Oh, it's going up. I'm gonna buy," and then it shoots back down, and you just lost twice in a row because you
you
switched.
double
So it's
whammy.
always easier to enter the wrong trade, or you thought it was gonna go down, you didn't set your stop loss high enough. Then it starts to come back, and you're like, "Oh, let me just re-enter the same trade because now it's for sure going down." And then it goes up, so you just lost twice again.
I think what
Like
usually
it's a terrible thing.
happens is it goes up, and you're like, cool, it's gonna keep going up, and then it goes down, or it goes up and you sell. And then it goes up more, and you're like, oh, it's going to keep going up. And then you buy, and then it goes down.
And see, Jake, it's not about having or not having a stop loss. It's knowing where to set it. Is the hard part. That is the challenge. It's where do you set it? And I gave up after a year. I was like, I'm done with this. It's too stressful.
Hey, Thomas is smart. You see Thomas's comments?
Yeah. Well, see, and that's why I always liked
New
forex,
Zealand
Thomas.
dollars.
I always liked forex because you're trading currency against currency.
Right.
I did gold trading as well on forex. Like I trade gold and I traded Bitcoin on forex, and so trading Bitcoin on forex is so powerful because you're at a 50 time margin. You're at a 50x margin. So when Bitcoin goes up fractions of cents, you're making money. Like you can make big money on fractions of cents because you're buying on margin. Um, but I like trading currency against each other. Basically, when one currency goes up, in relation, the other one has to go down. And it's basically just like you see it as a decimal. Like New Zealand dollar is like 0.76 of a US dollar. So when you're doing like NZD USD, it's like New Zealand dollar versus US dollar. It's like 0.75. And when that goes up, it means that the US dollar is going down and the New Zealand is going up and closing that gap. And you're trading off of that changing by like fractions of a percent or cents. And
That sounds more fun.
like it's very interesting, which is why I did it. Like,
Mm.
because it's very interesting. And while I understand it, to me, like some people swear they're like a guru and they can see all the patterns and they know
Yeah.
what it's gonna do. I don't know if anyone really knows. You can be right a lot of the time. You can also be wrong a lot of the time. And if you're wrong at all, it means you don't actually know. You have an idea.
Yeah, I think that if you're really psycho, like staying up on different news events and stuff like that, you could probably guesstimate like what currency's gonna do.
Yeah, and
You know?
the market does follow a lot of patterns. So, there's lots of
Yeah.
like, you use like the Fibonacci and stuff, and you can recognize these patterns. Patterns break all the time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's really cool when you're right a lot of times in a row, and you're like, oh, I figured it out.
I'm
But
a
then you're
wizard.
wrong for like 2 weeks
Yeah.
in a row, and it's nothing is following anything that you did. But there are a lot of things that you can do to be smart about it.
Yeah.
But that's a tangent. That's a
Well,
tangent.
if you're spending 40 hours a week on news articles for your Forex trading and you're making a few $100s a month, then it's like, damn, you could just have a full-time job and make more than that. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. Oh, the thing is,
and
like, you think of
that's
how
what's
much time
so
you have to
hard about
spend.
it,
Yeah,
to
and
stay up
there's
on everything,
there's people who trade multiple times in a day,
right?
and there's people who trade once a day, and then there's people who do longer trades where it's like, I'm gonna go into this right now and I'm not gonna pull it out for 3 months. They're playing a long game, and I think because you can have charts that are in minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and a day. And to me, the most accurate charts are going to be the day. You want to see what they're doing after multiple days, not after multiple minutes. Minutes are very volatile, as they say.
Jake,
She only makes like 2 decisions a year,
Jake,
if
I hope you make
that.
a ton of money. And good job, Thomas. That's awesome. You guys did good with the New Zealand stuff. That's rad. Swing trading. Oh my God. You guys came for bikes. You got stock advice. You're welcome. Just kidding. We're not financial advisors.
Yeah, definitely don't take my advice. I'm poor. I ride
Yeah,
bikes.
dude, I had Shiba, right? When Dogecoin went crazy, I was like, I'm mad because I didn't like I sold when it I don't know. I made a little bit off Dogecoin and sold. Then it went way up. And I was like, well, I'm gonna buy Shiba just because I hate Dogecoin. And then I just had a bunch of it. And I don't know, probably a few $100s worth. Anyway, when it did so I sold it because I was paying too much attention to it. It was stressing me out. I was like, I'm just gonna sell it, put all my money in XRP. and then uh and then it's like 3 months later, my couple $100s worth of Shiba would be worth 4 grand because everyone jumped off Dogecoin and went to Shiba. And so then I'm just living in regrets. That's not very fun either. So
It's okay. Just like we talked about Bitcoin one time. Most people lose
everyone's
on
losing.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
losing anyway.
Um, Jake, with Forex, you do not need 25K to day trade.
Jesus
With Forex,
Christ.
with Forex, you don't need much money to day trade. I don't know what that number is. I wouldn't day trade with stocks, like with real stocks. That would be very scary.
You've
You'd
got
have to have a
like
lot of money because if you're not buying
that's
on
the thing.
margin,
Yeah.
yeah, like that's the thing about Forex. You can trade on margin. If you're not trading on margin, you make nothing. Like when you gotta think you put $1,000 into Bitcoin, it goes up very little amounts.
Hmm.
You put $100 into Bitcoin, it goes up and down even littler amounts. Like you need a lot of money to
Yeah.
make money off of small things. So if you buy a lot in forex, like a standard lot for, and you spend like $100 on a standard lot, you're trading with like 100 grand. Money moves fast. Money moves really fast when you're at that kind of margin. But margin's dangerous. Margin
Yeah,
is very
it
dangerous.
comes and goes very quick in one stock, yeah. Yeah, Thomas, that's I think that happens a lot. And right now, see, and that's the thing. The retail investors competing with people who are playing with seven figures, right? They're like, "Oh, I have seven figures in my investment account." And so to them it's not really anything. And when you have that kind of power, and like I'm over here with my last $100 going up against that, it's like, what do you do? How can you even compete with that? Especially when they genuinely have the ability to fluctuate markets based on how much money they spend, because you have that kind of capital. Like, that's totally unfair. You just have to be lucky and be on the right side of it. I don't know. I think it's all a scam.
Long term, you win always. Tell that to the casino. That's what gamblers think.
Jake, we're going to check up on you in 3 years. And if you make a lot of money, we each want a Tesla.
I want the X, please. Like David Dobrik.
I'm going to get one and live in it. I think that'd be a good conversion car. But could you sleep at the charge ports? Is that allowed?
I'm gonna do it anyways. I sleep a lot of places where it's not allowed.
You're like, I paid for this Tesla. I should get to stay at this this charge port as long as I want.
Yeah.
Road trip in Montana might be tough because you don't have any charging, but that's okay. Cool. Well, we're at an hour 17. You guys got any BMX questions or mountain bike questions or
I
bike
think
school
everyone who
questions?
wanted to talk BMX has left us.
Dude, no, we're about the same. Like, this
Oh,
is what's
really?
cool about these lives is people, you guys stay throughout the whole thing, and like I really appreciate that. And then people come back and watch it. So the guys that come back to watch it will be like, "Oh, cool, mountain bike BMX," and then they get to this part, they're like, "4X, what?" That's okay. If you're watching this, you're cool. Um, yeah, it's we talked like Bitcoin last time. This is always fun to talk about, and
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
it's one of those things. It's like it's very relatable to everyone right now. It's in everyone's
Right.
face all day long, every day. Like people are always seeing stuff about this and this, and like I feel like if we were to just like have experiences with it and never mention anything about it, like why not? Like it's something we've
True.
dabbled
Yeah.
with, and I'm just telling you that me and Doug have both tried different currencies, and I've done forex, and neither of us are rich.
No.
So maybe we didn't have the right Instagram guru with his button-up shirt,
That.
standing
Yeah.
next to the nice car or on the beach, saying, "Pay my monthly subscription, and you'll win
See,
forex."
what do you think about that? Why don't we just become gurus for it? No one needs to know that
Because
we're not
because
successful at it.
I don't like the idea of screwing anybody over. Like I don't want to tell somebody pay me
And I'll
and
make
you'll
you
never actually
rich.
win. Yeah.
Right.
Like you can't make anyone
See, and that's why
rich.
Nick and I are business partners. He's a good guy.
It's not
Um,
if you're trying to sell somebody, like if you actually know a lot about forex and you're literally just teaching
right.
them about the structures and stuff, amazing. But if you're literally like, "Hey, pay for this and I'm literally just going to send you every trade that I'm doing and do them and hope you make money."
And
Like no.
cross your fingers.
Not cool. Not cool.
um, Jake, we're not monetized on Bike School, so there's no donate button. But I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, we don't
You
have
put
enough subscribers. We need 1,000.
Hey, we're going quick though, guys. Almost 500 already. That's
Yeah, we're
crazy.
almost at 500 in like a month and a half.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. But Jake, take that donation money and put it wherever you're going to put it in the stocks and double it. Cool. All right. No questions. No bite questions. I hope you guys make lots of money, and Thanks for hanging out with us. This one was really fun actually. I liked it. It was
Yeah, it
like
was a good one.
flowing the whole time. It was solid. So Thomas, I saw Thomas say he's thinking about going and riding in the front yard, and I just, if I remember, wasn't he drinking a beer?
Yeah, don't fall.
Maybe be careful, Thomas, if you do that. Buckle the helmet or something.
Buckle the helmet.
Buckle
All
up
right,
the helmet.
guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
We'll
Jake,
see
good
you
luck with
next
the
week.
shoulder surgery, and big shout out to everyone that
Yeah,
was
good
hanging out
luck.
with us. New video on Friday. You're going to want to see it. It's going to be rad. And then, yeah, we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
Later.
Thomas says not go.